Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Melinda. In this morphology subject, I will explain some materials. The material is the first word and its relative derivation. The second is compound words, blends, and phrasal words. The third is a word and its structure. What is derivation? Derivation is used for all aspects of word structure involving affixation that is not inflectional. Derivational morphology is concerned with one kind of relationship between lexemes, change the meaning and part of speech. Example: perform is verb, performance is noun. Relationship between lexemes. The suffix "-ance" is not one of small class of suffix, so-called inflectional suffix whose use is strictly determined by grammar. What sort of suffix is it then? Derivational aspect of word structure involving affixation that is not inflectional. This chapter shows how derivation work in English. Okay, the next is word classes and conversion. Word classes part of speech lexical categories. Perform and performance, do they belong to the same word class? No, performance has two word form and perform has four word form. Perform is a verb. Performance is a noun. On the basis on syntactic on inflectional behavior, not of meaning. Okay, the next is adverbs derived from adjective. Dioeciously and dioecious distinct lexeme different word class, but not distinct lexical item. The reflectional processes change the word class of the basis to which they apply, unlike inflection. Monomorphemic adverb often, seldom, never, soon, and some other adverbs are morphologically complex without containing "ly". Nowhere, everywhere, today, yesterday, conversion fast, hard derived from adjective. Okay, the next material is nouns derived from nouns. Not all derivational processes change word class. Example: lexical items unpredictable meanings. These gappiness help to confirm that these affixes are derivational rather than inflectional, even though they do not change the word class. Noun. The next is noun derived from members of other word classes. Nouns derived from adjective and from verb are extremely numerous. Suffixes used to derive nouns from adjective. Property of being egg, where egg is the best adjective. Form from best other than the free form of the corresponding adjective. Example: ferocity. From ferox, not ferocious. Conservative, from conservat, not conservative. All nouns in unity are lexical items. Okay, the next is adjectives derived from adjectives. Prefix predominate. An adjective, most dictionaries may not even list them. In with allomorphs such as ill, ir, im, as in intelligible, illegal, irresponsible, impossible. See, example, the use of in is more restricted. Okay, the next is adjective derived from members of other word classes. The modifier vary and the comparative construction. More than, so that, interesting, drunk, and damage are adjective. Example: suffix that form adjective from verb. Able to cut, breakable, readable, reliable, watchable. And tending to act, repellent, expectant, and conversant. Verb derived from verb. Prefix re and negative ones such as under this. Look at the columns in intransitive and transitive. Transitive verbs are ones with an object noun phrase, usually indicating the things or person that is the goal of the action of the verb. Jill laid the book on the table. The book lay on the table. The next is generality and idiosyncrasy. Derivation in English, one might have expected that many of the processes involved would have been sufficiently predictable in both their application and their meaning so that the lexeme thus derived would not count as lexical item. However, only for the affix that we have discussed here large number of lexemes that one would not expect to find listed in a dictionary, namely adverb, forming like negative adjectival on and nominal nascence in. It is if, despite the fact that lexemes are not necessarily lexical items. Okay, the next is compound versus phrase. In this chapter, we will look at the compound that is word formed by combining roots, and the much smaller category of phrase word that is items that have the internal structure of phrase, but function syntactically as word roots in English are mostly free rather than bound. Consider the expression a greenhouse, with its literal meaning, and a greenhouse meaning a glass structure where delicate plants are reared. There is a difference in sound corresponding to the difference in meaning. In the first expression, the mind stress is on house, while in the second, the mind stress is on green. Another example, you can look at the PowerPoint. Okay, the next material is compound verbs. Verbs formed by compounding are much less usual than verbs derived by affixation. Nevertheless, a variety of types exist which might be distinguished according to their structure. Verb. Steer is a verb. Fry is a verb. Noun verb. Hand is a noun. Was is a verb. Adjective verb. Dry is an adjective and clean is a verb. And preposition and verb. Underestimate. The next is compound adjective. Compound adjectives are adjectives that contain two or more words. In general, a hyphen is placed between two or more words before a noun when it wants a sentence to act as an idea adjective that describes something. Noun adjective. Sky is a noun. Hike is an adjective. Adjective. Gray is an adjective and green is an adjective. Preposition adjective. Under is a preposition. Full is adjective. Okay, the next is compound noun. It is with nouns that compounding really comes into its own as a word-forming process in English. Cultural and technical change produces more novel artifacts than novel activities or novel properties. Example, verb noun is swear word. Swear is a verb, word is a noun. Noun. Hair is a noun. Net is a noun. Adjective noun. Black is an adjective. Bird is a noun. Preposition noun. In is a preposition. Group is a noun. The next is headed and headless compound. Headed compounds are compounds which have an internal center. It is called endocentric. For example, like blackboard, greenstone, etc. Headless compounds are compounds which do not have an internal center. It is called exocentric. For example, fainter is not a kind of hurt but a kind of person who has a fine hurt. pickpocket is not a kind of pocket. Okay, the next is blends and acronyms. Example: smoke, smoke and fog. Copas, copy and past. Movie, moving and picture. The most extreme kind of truncation that a component of a blend can undergo in reduction to just one sound or letter. Usually the first blends made up of initial letter are known as acronym. Example: NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The next is compounds containing bond, combining form. Most of the compounds that we have looked at so far involve roots that are free form, but the vocabulary of English, especially in scientific and technical areas, includes a huge repertoire of compounds that are made up bound roots, known as combining form. Example: sociology, plantigrade, psychology, and anthropology. Okay, the next is phrasal words. In some of the compounds that we have looked at so far, relationships are expressed that are the same as one expressed in syntax. For example, the verb-object relationship between hair and restore in hair restorer. On the other hand, the way in which the verb-object relationship is expressed in this compound is quite different from how it's expressed in syntax, in that the two words appear in the opposite order. We say this substance restores hair, not this substance hair restores. Example: Jack in the box is a noun. The next is meaning and structure. In some words, structure is straightforward. For example, the lexeme helpful is derived from the noun base help by means of the adjective forming suffix full, even with just these two components. However, this is crucially in distinction between the actual word from helpful and the ill-formed one, full help. The next is affix as head, greenhouse. The head house determines the compound's syntactic status as a noun, and also its meaning. Head, element within a compound or derived word that determines basic meaning, and the word class or syntactic status of the whole word. Okay, the next is more elaborate word from multiple affixation. Plat structure approach derive words that contain more than one affix, a string of affixes plus a root. No portion of the string being grouped together as a substring or constituent. Unhelpfulness. Help is a noun plus full, helpful is an adjective. Un plus helpful, unhelpful is adjective. Unhelpful plus ness, unhelpfulness is a noun. This analysis shows that words are not formed all at once. There seems to be an order that is followed to capture the step-by-step process of word formation. Linguistics have developed method of diagramming, tree diagram, bracketing. The next is more elaborate word from compounds within compounds. In the previous section, we saw that the structure of word derived by affixation can be represented in tree diagram where each branch has at most two branches. The same applies to compounds. Any compound has just two immediate constituents. The next is apparent mismatches between meaning and structure. The meaning of a complex whole, such as unhelpfulness or holiday car trip, is built up out of the meanings of its two constituent parts, which in turn are built up out of the meanings of their part, and so on until we reach individual morphemes, which by definition are semantically indivisible. We will discuss a few stages where this expectation is not fulfilled. Okay, the last is structure as guide but not straitjacket. Although word structure guides interpretation, it does not dictate it. So I think that's all. Thanks for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.